Hello there and welcome. Talking really, and just a quick video because I'm despair. I really do despair about some people because I can't explain it because it's so frustrating. Had this comment on my Facebook page group, and I was just staggered that there are people that would think this. I responded to it, of course, which is my standard response of, do you really not understand that this vaccine that they're producing has only been in production for around about 9 months, whereas the average is 5 to 10 years, including everything. So why would you take a untested, untried, and unproven substance for something that 99.8% of people recover from? Disregarding the deniers who say, "Oh, long COVID," that's been actually discussed by several prominent people as being no different any other flu-like virus, which has similar outcomes. You can also get long other ones, not just long COVID. It can happen with other viruses as well, so it's not unique. Also, bearing in mind that the comment includes, "We want to get back to normal." Well, unfortunately, people, there is no normal. This is it. This is what we're in. How are they going to come back from this? Well, I think that Ivor Cummings said it quite well. There is only one way.
When are we going to get out of this, Ivor? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I was looking at the situation, and to myself, I think there's three options. We either adopt the Swedish model, number one. Number two, we have a vaccine. And from what I'm not an epidemiologist, I'm not a virologist, the last truly great pandemic was the HIV/AIDS virus. They isolated the HIV virus, I think it was in 83 or 84. They've never managed to find a vaccine to combat that. They've never had a vaccine against a coronavirus. So there's a vaccine option, which is looking tenuous at best. Or number three, we just carry on with this till what? Till the economy doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's why I've been despairing for months, particularly since the mandated masks, which made zero scientific sense, regardless of their efficacy, as I said. I'll have to say that again because that was a dark day for me, because I realized then they've gone nuts. And it's just getting worse now. It's almost like they held on to the winter to just get back some mortality and ICU action so they could do this again. It's just like bizarre. But yeah, there's no exit strategy because the vaccine, there's loads of really great vaccines. And then the influenza vaccine, it's 20-30% effectiveness. And there's some studies that show it doesn't really leave a mark on elderly mortality anyway. So coronavirus vaccine, they've never been able to do one for 30 years. Now they may do it. It's probably easier than AIDS or HIV because HIV is a shifter virus that interacts with the immune system and changes its profile. Whereas, to be honest, this coronavirus is more a kind of a classic coronavirus, just a high impact one. But the problem is, if they get a vaccine and it's like the flu vaccine, which would be an amazingly good result, because it takes 6 years to safely develop a vaccine, and they've had 8 or 9 months. But if they achieved the safety and efficacy of a flu vaccine, let's say it's 30% effective, it's not going to move any needle. And there's publications coming out now, even from some of the vaccine companies, that it probably won't affect transmissibility and transmission. It'll just minimize the actual impacts in the elderly or whoever. So again, it's just not going to move the needle a huge amount. And it could be out next summer. So your question is very valid. What are we doing now? It's not like waiting for a magic vaccine, because in industry, if you did project management and tried to say to the management team, oh, we're doing this to get to that, you'd be eviscerated. They'd say, look, that's great if you get that later, but that's not going to make a huge difference. So what do we do now? And what we do now is the Swedish model. I mean, there's no question about it. Unless the ICUs and hospitalizations and mortality actually start going up to genuine epidemic levels, in which case you might need to do emergency measures. Short of that, it just makes no sense. And there's no way out.
Well, the phrase "it makes
now?
No sense" is a phrase that the two of us have been uttering for months now, because it doesn't make any sense. And the worry for us as well is if we're prepared to do things now that, as you talk about masks, for example, they don't have any scientific basis until very recently and not very strong evidence on that. So how do we know that it's time to end this? Because you could argue, for example, look, we've got everyone wearing masks, right? Everyone is social distance. Everyone is using hand sanitizer. Everyone's keeping to their bubbles. Well, that's a great way to stop people dying of other diseases, isn't it? So why don't we just carry on like this for the rest of our lives? Because you don't want Granny to die of the flu. You don't want Granny to die of this or that. Or what if there's another thing? Why don't we just preventatively continue wearing masks, continue social distancing, continue not shaking hands, continue with all of this, right? And every now and again, why don't we just have a preventative lockdown once a year just to make sure? Where does this end?
Yeah, there is no end. There is no logic, as we've discussed. It just makes no sense. We're back to that phrase again. It makes no sense. So we've changed our whole history of humankind, our culture, our traditions, our freedoms. We've completely turned on its head everything we wear to become a people terrified of viruses that were always there and always causing trouble every winter. We've done all that in this past 6 months. And now where we are makes no sense. I'm not often speechless, but I've been pinching myself every day for 6 months or more now. Every day for a moment it flashes through my head, this is not real. And then I realize it is real. That's how disbelieving I am as a 30-year technical master and problem-solving master in many different fields. I cannot believe it anymore.
And as you can see, they're not going to do this because it's not in the plan. That's not what they want. It is not about the virus. This is about the New World Order plan for the future. And it does not involve having any sense, any logic. There's no concern for you, put it that way. It is all about reset. It's all about ruining the economy so small businesses go under, so they can have this UBI, Universal Basic Income. And trust me, there was a report I saw, it's already here. Not here in the UK, but it is out there already as a system. So when we look at the world, we can see that generally whatever happens around the world will be coming here very soon. In fact, if we carry on this way, it's not even going to make it to the new year before things change. So, if you are one of those people that says, I can't wait for the vaccine because I want it all to go to normal again, you are, quite simply, deluded. You're a deluded moron. I think that's the only way I can describe it. Deluded moron. It is never ever gonna be how it was before. Unless we have a revolution. And even then, it ain't gonna happen. Because the whole world will have to change. Unless we stand up now, this is what we're gonna have. And don't forget, we still have to look forward to what I would call forced vaccinations. And I know there's an argument going around with several of my friends who say it will never happen, and we actually have a £50 bet. I said that they will be able to, and they said they can't. But there are ways that you can force somebody without making it, law. You can, of course, make it law in other ways. You can say, well, hang on, you haven't done this, so you can't do that. That is actually basically forcing you down a path. Plus, of course, we know that their UBI and also their debt relief schemes will include the promise that if you go for the debt release scheme, you will have to sign up for mandatory vaccination. So you're being forced, even though it's voluntary, you're being forced to do it. Because why do they need to have one and the other? Why can't they just have the debt relief without the vaccination? What is this fascination with being jabbed? I don't know. I don't understand why. Well, I do know why, because it's all about money. And also, well, we're not going to go into that, but what are they putting in it? And again, I had this discussion with somebody else on Facebook about it has to be safe. Why on earth would they give you a pure product? Because then that would mean that they would care about you, and they don't care about you. They want this ultimate agenda, and they want to reduce the population. We know that. It's been plainly obvious that they want to kill off people by the number of elderly that they've killed off already, number of disabled people that they've killed off already, right? So let's not live in this idea of an ideal world where they care about you, because they don't. They're not after your health. If they thought about that, they would ban smoking and drinking, but they don't, right? All the things bad for your health, McDonald's, fast food, they would ban it all, but they don't, right? So think about it. And also, I actually responded with, go and have a look at Kenya and do some research on that and how the polio thing went on and how it turned out, because that is proof that the vaccines that they're going to be offering are not pure. They're not unmotivated, all right? So think about it. If you want one of these, then you are a complete moron. And I expect that there will be plenty of people lining up round the corner there, waiting like sheep to get their little jab in the hope that they're going to return to normal. Deluded morons. Have a good day, and I'll catch you next video.